Well, hello, amp people. Now, Marshall, me and Marshall, long story. Now I have a JCM800, and I gotta say, I get it. Not this one, the one behind it. Leslie can find it on the amp wall somewhere. It's all the way to the right, bottom right, there it is, JCM800. Why do I have that, you may ask? Well, because it is a reference amp, and it is rock and roll. Am I saying that because Marshall's paying me for this review? Which they are. No, I'm not. Because it is rock and roll. When you go to it, things bloom, things get cranked, things get fun. Now, I always had a problem, especially with the JCM800, because I misunderstood it. And that's because my friends, hey Patrick, hey Alex, hey Jan, they had these kind of things and they brought them to small venues, really small venues. Now, the JCM800 is the amp that doesn't like the small venue, especially with the 412. Because when does it sound good? When it's fucking cranked. 100 watt amp? Holy shit. So me as their producer and also their front of house engineer at this small venue, I was fighting with the stage sound versus the PA sound and just couldn't get anything happening. Now, when they did what I told them to do, please turn it down, telling the guitar player to turn down, guess what? Yeah, they did. But then it just didn't sound good anymore. Something that Dave Friedman told me on the JCM, on the gain, once you dial that down, there's something called a bright cap. So the further you take the gain down, the more the low end goes away and the brightness gets kept, which means it's starting to sound very bright and has no balls. So this is, the JCM800 is the kind of amp you want to crank up. That's a problem. 100 watt amp, cranking it up, problem. Second problem, it's heavy as shit. Is it rock and roll? Yes. Do you want to carry it? Well, it depends on how rock and roll you are. I'm not rock and roll enough to carry that thing around. It's also a one-channel amp which is way enough for rock and roll, especially if you know how to use the volume part, but it's a one-channel amp that clocks in at, depending on how Marshall's feeling, between 1,600 and last year, 2 years ago, it went up to 2,000 or even over. Now, is that how much you want to spend on that? Well, if you're a diehard rock and roll dude, yes, you do. But let's say you do not. Let's say you want the awesomeness of the JCM, but you don't want to spend that much money on the one-channel amp. You don't want to carry a heavy-ass amp, and you don't need that much volume, or your venue and your band can't handle it. Don't make yourself unpopular because of le volume, as they say in France. And it only took years for Marshall to listen to all of that. And I'm going to say they nailed it. This is, I call it the Mini JCM. They're calling it the Studio Classic SC20H. For the Studio Classic 20 head, also comes in a combo. You can even run it at less watt. How many less watt? You read right here, because I literally don't know. I'm going to have to look that up when I edit this. So there's a switch on the front that says high and low, and that's how you switch between those two. Other than that, this is your standard JCM. It's got presence, bass, middle, treble, master, and preamp. Look, I can read. It's got a low and a high input, which is very important when you want to run this clean. Don't try to run it clean on being in the high input. And if we go to the back, we have all the necessary speaker outputs. We have a DI out, which, yes, we're going to check. Where's my finger? We have a switchable effects loop, which, yes, we're going to check. And that's it. What I love about this is that Marshall didn't go small and change things. They just went small. Let's look at the Mesa Mark V 25. Mesa Mark V is not run with EL84s, but they went small, made the 25, and that is using EL84s. A lot of those smaller wattage amps run EL84s. Well, you know what? That's not what's in the real amp. And what we're going to do is, we're going to test it all. Yeah, it's a one-channel amp. But when you looked at the little description in the video, in how many minutes this video is going to be, it's probably a shit ton. So, realistically, what do we have to test? Well, the low and the high input, the low and the high wattage setting. And I'm going to tell you, at 20 watts, holy shit, it's way more than you need in terms of volume. But with this amp, the volume knobs aren't necessarily volume knobs. They are, please set me where you need to set me for the tone. Which is why I'm running this, just in case it gets too much, through the Iron Man 2 by Tone King, which by itself almost costs as much as this amp. Have we talked about price? In Europe, this thing is €999. I think in the US it's slightly more. I think Phil McKnight paid $1,200 or $1,300 for his. And then, well, dollars. For me, I'm comparing it to $1,600 for the big one. $999 for me, it's under 1,000. And you're gonna say, no, it's 1,000. Someone said that. I don't remember. I think Alex said that. Shut up, Alex. It's not 1,000. It's $999, so it's under 1,000. So, under $1,000. Volume-wise, bearable. Not quiet, but bearable. Much lighter and smaller. And it says Marshall. So, we're gonna test that. We're gonna test that. If it gets too loud, I use the Iron Man. That's where I was. We're gonna test it with this Synergy cab, which I pretty much have as a stand, but we're also miking it. With its little contraption, which I'll get to in a bit. We're also going to run it through the Tone King cab, which is, I think these are vintage 30s, I'm not sure, but I think they're vintage 30s. The Tone King cab has a something Celestion Tone King modified speaker, so we're going to hear it with a different cab. We're also going to hear it with the aux. We're going to go out of the DI out into the Torpedo Cab M, which is on the table right here, which Leslie actually has a camera for. We're going to test it with a KHCK Ghoul Screamer, which is a tube screamer, because that's how you run this amp. If you want more gain, put a tube screamer in front of it. Drive down, volume up. We're going to test that. We're also going to put the BOD in front of it, because why not? Maybe in front of the cleans. And then, of course, we're going to test the effects loop with this beautiful tonal recall. And also I have different guitars. Unless you need to go in 20 minutes. Never gonna happen. Baby, I'm sorry. Never gonna happen. First thing we do, so we're gonna have some fun. Because I want to find the absolute perfect mic position for you. With this Lewitt MTP 440. Which is, right now, on a decadently priced €1,000 Edelkrone slider for cameras. And with a couple of adapters, I put a retrofit Tried Orbit adapter on there, and now the mic is on it, which allows me to do this, if you can see that. So I can actually move this around. I can, if I want to. I can tilt this. Not tilt, I can turn it. But hypothetically, I should be able to find the ideal mic position. And I could even save it and then go to another one. But we're going to find one of them. I'm going to say this is roughly where it should be. But in order to hear only the mic position and not the cab, Shure gave me, when I was at TSR, their new €100 in-ear monitoring system. It's pretty nice. I don't know what it's called. I literally can't tell you, but it looks like this. Pretty neat. You can take this off. $100 for in-ear monitoring isn't bad. So I have to figure out how this works. Nope. Now that is actually pretty damn neat. Holy crap, is that loud. So, now I have my sound. We're gonna go Strat and Les Paul, but of course, McMull and Eastman. Because it's what I have. It's not bad. Right now, I'm gonna say what you're hearing is the cab only, even though I'm also recording with the aux, but we get to this. I think I'm hopefully getting very good sounds here. Would have never thought I'd get killer cleans from a Marshall, but you know what? Holy crap. I don't want to do anything on here. I'm good. Obviously, preamp's all the way up, but it's all the way up and I have amazing cleans. Yeah, that's why you hear the bright cap. Hear that? It gets bright. That's the sound I always hated. Don't do that. Keep the preamp up and you're happy. Fuck yeah! Okay, I'm pretty good with that. Let's fiddle around with the EQ. If you ask me, as far as cleans go, that's ridiculously good. I'm gonna go plug in the effects loop. So the pedal's not on. I'm not losing a lot here. I'm good. Pedal on. Let's see what happens. Hey, who would have guessed? It works. Hear that sound only with the aux. What you're hearing in the aux, by the way, is a 412 creamback loaded speaker mic with a virtual SM57 and ribbon. Now, we're gonna go and we're gonna hear the DI out with that sound through. The DI out by itself is not going to be good, but we're taking a DI into the 2 notes torpedo cab, which is $299. That's a great box to use with that DI out. Okay, nifty. I pull that out. Holy crapola. So that's on the high setting in terms of wattage. I'm gonna go on the low setting. I'm gonna leave it at the mic input where it is. I'm just gonna show you the difference. Showing it in the room would have been clever if I had set up 2 room mics, which I did not, because this is already way too much anyway. Well, to be honest, don't expect this to be quiet. It's not gonna be. The difference is there, but it is subtle. It's not at where it's right now. It's not gonna be a bedroom amp. Let's see how quiet I can get it. That is bedroomish. I'm gonna put the, where's gain? That's volume. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna put the Friedman BOD in front of it and see what I can get at bedroom level. With less mix on the tonal recall. I'm gonna show you in the shotgun mic, which is, by the way, a Schoeps C-Mid Mini. If you're thinking this is a lot of product placement with the Shure headphones and the Tone King and the it is. You're fully right. You know, those companies like to be mentioned. That's why I have a channel. That's why I can do this for you. Please don't bitch about this. So if I'm talking and playing, you should get an idea of the volume. So I'm talking and I'm playing and I'm playing not the notes that I'm playing here. That's an E, that's an E, and that's a D, but with an F sharp in the bass, and that was not what I wanted to play. Technically, that mic should have picked up both. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna go back to the high setting. I'm gonna go turn that off. Do it with a little bit. I'm gonna go back to more master. And a little bit of a overdrive from the Gold Screamer again, which is a tube screamer. Okay, that's a lot of fun. There you go. That's actually pretty damn awesome tones. But a lot of rock and roll is not single coil. A lot of rock and roll is asking for the curves. So I give you the curves. Wow, it's a lot of stuff. I'm gonna go loud. I'll just turn the FX loop off. I don't even have to pull the cables because there's this nifty switch right here. Obviously, that's not what you want to hear. I'm going to start with gain low, which is something you shouldn't do. It's dirty and evil, but it's missing the bottom. I missed it! Trying to do what Chris Baroshi did when I trying to be cool, but I can't. He did this cool lick and I can't do it. I can't do it once, but I can't do it twice. Now, obviously, that's as fucking rock and roll as it gets. People leave me alone. Right now, I'm rock and rolling. That's the Shiat. Is that quieter? Yeah, a little bit. You're still not gonna be in your bedroom with that. This is more fun. Now I'm gonna push the gain. Drive down, volume up, KHDK. Here we go. Okay, so it's pretty much as good as rock and roll sounds get, he said. Let's try that. One more thing, two more things, couple more things. Whew. Through the aux. With a 412 Greenback loaded, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I'm trying to stay away from copywritten material. I just turned on the Tonking cab, which we can see in the amp cam. Also mic'd with a Lewitt MTP 440. Let's get a level on that. Here we go. Let's listen to that. To me, it sounds a little bit more saturated. Okay, back to this cab. And compared to, I'm a little bit scared, the same setting on the JCM800, the big one. Interesting. Well, the master on it is, I don't know where it's at. It's at 10 o'clock. So the master here is at 2 o'clock. So I don't want to crank up that Marshall, that JCM. Presence on the other one is at 0. So let's set that up equally. that verdict is in. They do not sound the same. They sound extremely similar. However, the 100 watt, the big one, JCM800, has more low end. It is slightly quieter set up right now, but it has more ball kick. The Studio Classic 20 Mini JCM is a little bit more pushed in the mids. It's a little bit more midsy. However, it is a difference. It's not a different amp. It is slightly differently voiced. Everything else behaves the same. And the big question is, do you need an amp that takes over all the bass function? Of course, it's nice when you go boom, boom, and it goes, and it kicks you in the nuts. But it's all in the mids, and I think this is where this shines. A tad more than the big one. But we can hear slightly different. Obviously, some amp builders will tell you, whoa, the output transformers and blah, 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 and I don't know these words or things. Leaves one thing for the little one. I'm going to send it with that sound through the Torpedo Cab M, which is on the table. Yeah, and you're going to hear that. And then we're done. So DI out into the Torpedo Cab M. Obviously, you need a load. So you have to have this either on a load box or on a speaker. I'm going to put my load box down. That Tone King is nice because it does something about Fletcher Munson curves. You're not interested in that, but I'm telling you anyway. So here I go. And now, here we go. Let's be done. We've done the cab and that thing and the DI and the comparison to the big one. What else do you want to know? So, if you absolutely are 100 million% in love with the JCM800, exactly the way that it makes you feel and that it sounds, this is close, but it's not it. The low-end chunk is not quite there, and it's a little bit more mid-focused than the big one. I just found that out. I haven't made this comparison before. So we found out together. However, I think this can give you exactly what the big one gives you, which is, of course, a contradiction, but everything I expect from the JCM, all the rock and rolliness is there. Now, under $1,000, Alex, shut up. It's $999. It is under $1,000. Much lighter. I mean, we're talking... and I'm not strong. Oh, damn it. Ow. Much lighter, much more portable, and much quieter. I would give this... I really find I would give this my 100% recommendation because I find nothing wrong with it. It's a one-channel amp. The cleans are ridiculous. The stuff I just got with the Strat, which, again, I didn't prepare or I had no idea about, was ridiculous. Rock and roll is there, push it with the Tube Screamer, and the metal is there. Effects loop works. I can't find a fault in it. Are there other amps that do more in its price range? Yes. Are there other amps that have that classic JCM logo and look and feel and touch and sound and smell and weight? Taste. It tastes like a JCM800. It does. Can't believe I just did that. Hey, links below. This is awesome. Thanks, Marsha, for letting me try this and financing this video. I have to say this, YouTube rules and all that. Thanks, Leslie, for switching. You can now feed the animals and also animals at the end.